Daniel chapter number 4, verses 18 through 27. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, had seen. Now therefore, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof, for as much as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but thou art able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. The tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to all the earth, whose leaves was fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heavens had their habitation. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown and reached unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. And whereas the king saw a watcher and an holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, Hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, and the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven. And let his portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which is come unto my lord the king, that they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven. And 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou knowest that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee. After that thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. In this vision, the second of the 7 dreams and vision of the book of Daniel, it starts out with a bang. Let's come right over here and take a look. Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was in shock, a while, frightened by his thoughts. Can you imagine Daniel seeing this great tree, this great vision, and then God giving you the interpretation, and it's telling you that the king is going to be cut off for 7 times? Now, in other places, 7 times typically would mean 7 years, like in the book of Revelation. as well. So this could be 7 years. Now, some people say that that could be 7 seasons or 3.5 years or whatever. So you can take that any way that you choose. It's just in the book of Revelations, when you talk about a time, you're definitely talking about a year. So that's what we are suggesting that possibly means. So if you're Daniel, once again, if you see this great vision and you see your boss, the king, cut down, driven from his throne for that length of time, and it's your job to tell that to him, you have to remember the king can give an order and you would be executed. So there is no wonder why Daniel was afraid and astonished at this vision. And then the thing that stands out about the vision as well, how Nebuchadnezzar, because he had gotten so prideful, because his kingdom was going to be so great. And this is something so easy for any one of us to fall into. We always have to ask for God's help, because human pride would take over in any situation. Anyone can abuse authority. There's a saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely. Everyone needs some checks and balances just to keep them level. Because too much power and too much authority, people obviously would bend things and get out of joint or get out of whack. Such was the thing with King Nebuchadnezzar. He had established the great Babylon, the first world power. Like we said before, the gold and the precious stones and the power he has achieved was completely unmatched in all of human existence. So we can see anyone can make this mistake. But then, as Nebuchadnezzar, scripture was talking about, as he was prideful, it said there came a voice from the watchers and the Holy One. Who are the watchers? This is the only time that this verse or this phrase, the watchers, are mentioned in the scripture. And given from what we have in the scriptures, the watchers appear to be spiritual beings that watches over the affairs of mankind that the Almighty has put in place, and the holy ones. And when things get out of place, they appear to be the ones, especially in this case, to correct it. Because a watcher and a holy one came down to rectify this situation. It talks about how they, plural, had the king to eat the grass. How they, plural, had the king to be wet with the dew. The watchers and the Holy One. And the vision says, for 7 times the king will be in this state, eating grass. The heart of an animal, not the heart of a man. But it says the root will be sure, and there will be a ring of iron and a ring of brass around it. What is this ring of iron and what is this ring of brass? Because Daniel's interpretation gives us no explanation, or let me say, no obvious explanation of what the ring of iron and brass around this. Let us make a suggestion at what the ring of iron and brass. If we go back to the vision that God gave King Nebuchadnezzar in the 2nd chapter, we remember the statue, the great statue. Nebuchadnezzar was the image of gold. Then we had the silver. Then we had the brass or the bronze. And then we had the iron. Now, we know Nebuchadnezzar was the image of gold. And we know the Persians and the Medes were the silver. We know Alexander the Great and the Greco or Grecian Empire was the bronze. And we know the Roman Republic and Roman Empire that led down to Antichrist is the iron. Notice what we have here. We have iron, a ring of iron, and a ring of brass. And Nebuchadnezzar was the gold. So we have 3 of the metals mentioned in his statue right here taking place now. But notice we do not have a ring of silver. What is this implying? Why do we... The king, Nebuchadnezzar, represents the gold. We have the ring of iron and we have the ring of brass. Why do we not have the silver? Let's take a look at it. Nebuchadnezzar was exalted, was lifted up high. So therefore, he was cut off. We skipped the Persian and the Mede Empire. Then we go to the Greco Empire. Alexander the Great was cut off at an early age. Could it have been a watcher came down and cut Alexander the Great off at such an early age? A young man that similarly had achieved things that no other person had in the history of the planet. The pride and the greatness could have set in as well. And the Holy One and the Watchers could have performed the same thing. Let's go to the iron. We know how Antichrist will be so bold and so brazen. He would speak things against the Most High God. He would even set himself up as God. But a stone hewed out of the mountain will strike him down. The watchers are alive and well. God, we bless you and give you praise. Thank God.